Good evening and welcome to round 4 of the Automobilist Australia Super 2 Summer Series here from Western Australia, Wanneroo, also known as Barbagallo Raceway. Tonight joining me in the commentary box is Brendan Ross.
Hello there.
And Luke Rosella.
Hello there.
Hello there. And yes, practice session has just concluded. Fairly close session here, guys. It is a fairly small circuit here at Barbagallo Raceway. But what are some of the things viewers should be looking out for as we just tick over to qualifying here for the opening race of the evening?
I'll kick it off first. Similar to the previous rounds, we've got Tim Redman topping the timesheets, and then the usual suspects. We've got Stancliffe about 3/10 off, and NZ Snipes 3/10, and then we've got the likes of Ujrit and Burko about 6/10 away from the top.
Yep. You would think that this circuit's it's hard to overtake, but surprisingly, the little circuit does provide some good racing. So yeah, we'll expect the same level of excitement in these couple of races tonight.
Yeah, we will go over just a little bit later on in the warm-up session. Obviously, a little bit of a track map as well as some of the strategies that we may expect. But it has ticked over to qualifying, and now we just wait and see for who is going to be the first driver out on the circuit. Got a massive grid here tonight, guys, with currently 24 drivers in the server, and Pierre Roy is still trying to get in. So it's going to be 25 cars in qualifying. It's going to be nice for these guys, it being private qualifying. Come race time, though, it's going to be packed. Alright, well, looks like both the commentators have died. Rest in peace, Brendan Ross and Luke Rosella there. But just waiting for drivers to just wait here before heading out onto the circuit. And there we are. Termo looks like he'll be the first man out. Also got Brian Walsh has rejoined the series after initially signing up and then pulling out. So it's good to see him back out there as well. And also Glenn Miles, another one. So Termo has got a teammate for this round. And hopefully for the rest of the season in Glen Miles. So there will be 2 DJR Team Penske cars as well as a Brightech Motorsport car with Brian Walsh. We also have Lachlan Burke, another new runner. He's taking Jonesy's old seat in the Team 18 VF Commodore. So look out for him in the race and qualifying. But Termo, do believe he'll be first, if not, no, it looks like Burko will be the first man to set a time. And in fact, we're right on board Steve Burko. And Mr. Rosella, why don't you go through a lap with Steve Burko and tell us little tidbits of this Barbagallo Raceway circuit.
Well, on the pit straights, coming to turn 1, sweeping corner this one. Want a bit of a late apex, sort of a double apex. Burko's taken it, but I like to say a bit of a late apex. Coming into this a straight line, this section a bit. Careful of the curbs, and then deep under braking again into this little section here, and flick it to the right. Bit of the curb. Use all the exit road on the left-hand side. And then coming through this corner here, you want a bit more rear bias. I like to have a little bit more rear bias to the braking to get the notes nice and turned in. And you want a nice, good run coming to the last quarter over the hill. Coming into the last quarter, difficult braking, easy to lock the brakes. Flick it in on the power, nice and gently. All the curbing on the left-hand side, and that's a lap of Barbagallo, Lewis.
And over the line, Burko goes to P2 Termo, 55.2. That's a fairly handy lap time out there. In fact, that's actually a personal best going by all the times set in live races. So perfect time for Termo to pull it out. And will be interesting to see what a number of these runners do, guys, because the hard tyre and soft tyre, you can sort of race with both here. With once again, it looks like we may have the split strategy, the no stop versus the one stop, coming into play this evening.
Yep. I saw a yardstick for the soft tyre time for a quail lap is a 54.9 set by Tim Redmond. So yeah, it'll be So the fastest we have a 55.2. So we may see times dip a little bit lower as we see more of the runners set their lap times.
Yeah, so Peter Thrower there going 6/10 off the pace set by Termo. Still solid P5, and Brap just setting a time there, 2.4 seconds adrift. Having a look at Rhodey in the Lucas Dumbrell, Southgate, Holden, VF Commodore here. Out there having a dip. And, I Mitch to the top. Now, here's another one that last time out, very aggressive on strategy, as my dog goes ballistic in the background there. I do apologise. But, yeah, Lime Mitch was aggressive on the strategy. Had big dips. Couldn't quite pay off for him, but he may be another one of these runners looking by the lap time, guys, that might be going for the soft tyre run and going for that one-stop strategy and going like hell out there.
Yep, that's the style Mitch likes to go with most of his races. Just have a massive go, massive dip. Hope it pays off and get the result. But yeah, that's a pretty handsome lap time by Mitch. But wait and see. Scott Stancliffe, Tim Redmond. Actually, Tim's out now, so we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, so minutes ago with qualifying, Redmond out on circuit now. Scott Stancliffe does have a rear grid start for race 2, and he's actually got to start from the pits here in race number 1 due to some penalties he picked up last time out. And Nathan Higginson's found himself with a disqualification here. I just want to find out what he's managed to do. I reckon he's done
an extra lap.
He's done an extra lap and then pressed escape. So, well, it's good to see him out there for his first round of the season. He's had a couple dinners, his first couple evenings of racing, but it's good to see him out there in the Satellite 888 car.
So here we go. Tim Redmond on his lap, come through first sector. See what he can do. 10th off Lime Mitch as he heads towards the back straight. Nice wide line taken there, late apex, there we go. Easy on the power, bit of a wobble. Should be a good run. Oh, he's just improved this a little bit coming into the last quarter. Let's see what he can do.
Not a bad lap, not a bad run through the final corner. It's going to be very close between himself and Lime Mitch. What can he do? And it's not enough. 8 thousandths of a second, and Lime Mitch will be just a shade in front of him. And we know he is a fast starter as well. So it looks like, I reckon, it's a
stage is set.
The stage is set for a cracking race, and I do reckon that that's a soft tyre run from both Lime Mitch and Redmond. If it's a hard tyre run from Redmond, then it's a fair lap time. But yeah, it looks like everybody out there at the moment has set a lap, so just
Nathan Higginson disqualified.
Yeah, setting an extra lap there. So, yeah, so he's done 4 laps of 3. Mike Coulston did 2 laps of 3, so he must have either picked up a track cut or fenced it, and went back to the pits. Darren Kemp hasn't set a lap. Freakish hasn't set a lap, and of course Stancliffe hasn't set a lap either, due to his penalties from the Simmons Plains round. He had a nice clean run at Phillip Island, but yeah, just had a couple run-ins at Simmons Plains, which was easy to do. Turn 1 and 2 is tricky at the best of times when you're on your own, and sometimes in a pack can just miss a braking point and run into the car in front of you, which he unfortunately did, and that's why he's got a couple of penalties, but I'm sure he'll bounce back here in the race and certainly provide some entertaining racing. And in fact, he may be able to pull off a no-stop if he's smart, because one thing these guys are going to have to do if they no-stop, they're going to have to fuel save a little bit and tyre save, and the formation lap, you are going to use fuel and a little bit of your tyres as well.
Funnily enough, I thought of that during the week, and with such a small pit lane and the track length, actually starting from the pit could be an advantage, because Sector 1 really isn't that far away, so yeah, I wouldn't be too disappointed starting from pit lane if I was Mike or somebody else.
Yeah, certainly. All right, well, we might as well bring up now that we have ticked over into the warm-up sessions. Drivers will be going through the driver's briefing. So there it is on your screen after 3 rounds. Team Redmond leading the championship quite comfortably on 849 points. with Lime Mitch heading a very close pack there for second place. He's on 663, followed by Steve Burko and Daniel Cox. He's had a very solid start to the season. And then we have NZ Snipes, who will be ruining that non-finish at Adelaide because he'd be right there in that pack as well. Then we have Turmo on 537, just ahead of Taipan and Cecil. And then we have Peter Thrower and Scott Stancliffe, both the 888 race engineering cars, looking to move their way up the order. And just across the page, Hans Brunswick, who, as we know, not likely to make most of the first races of the evening, still doing a good job on 426. Mishra on 411. Then we have Steve Warwick right there as well. So they're not too far apart. A little bit of a gap to Cheese and Darren Kemp, who are separated by nothing much at all, only 9 points. Lachlan Lock not too far away either. And he's got Justin Cecil right there for company. Rody on 309. Also not too far away from those guys. And then Brap and Latino rounding out the top 20 to the team standings. And ProDrive leading the way just ahead of Matt White Motorsport. So ProDrive Racing Australia, that is Taipan and Daniel Cox. So it looks like, guys, Coxie has finally got his big break, but still a long way to go in the championship standings. And as we know, Lime Mitch very, very quick, and Kempy can get a solid result as well. So going to be tight in the team standings, especially with 888 racking up a few points as well. Stancliffe hasn't had the best start to the season as one would expect, but I do expect them to move their way up. Nissan Motorsport as well, line 42, and Walkinshaw, if Pierre Roy can get back into the server, will pick up some really good points if both he and Redmond can get to the finish. Lucas Dumbrell on 735 with Rody and Brunswick. Gary Rogers, followed by ProDrive Racing Australia Super 2. That's due to the sole effort from Steve Burko at the moment, as Dane Liccardo's wheel has gone kaput. And then we have Erebus Motorsport and Brad Jones Racing rounding out the top 10 in the teams standings. All right. Now over to the Pleb Hub. And tonight we have a couple of, I think, 16 lap races. It's very small for me to read that. 16 lap races. Hard tyre may be the way to go, but it looks like people have gone for the soft here this evening. Is a bit of a toss-up because, you know, you may be able to attempt to no-stop this race, and to do that you will have to be on the hard tyre. And as you can see, there's a fuel number there. It's very small on my screen. I can't quite see it there. And you can make it to the finish without stopping, but as mentioned, you will have to fuel save. If not, if you are going to put softs on, you have to pit pretty much at the halfway point. You can't really stop early and sort that out. And Compo, just watch out for that bucket right behind you, mate. It'll get a bit messy. And alright, just to refresh the old calendar for everybody. For Pleb Airlines, they've done Adelaide, been to Simmons Plains, and well, the plane from Phillip Island had actually gone missing, so all the teams have yeah, all the teams have had to build new chassis and cars, and in fact some teams have even lost their drivers, so that's why we do see a couple of new drivers here in this series.
Is that the 737 Max?
I think it was.
Oh no.
I think it was Zimbabwe Airlines as well. So
Alright, I thought they were recalled the 737 Maxes, but anyway.
I don't think Zimbabwe Airlines could afford that. That's where Pleb Airlines got the plane. They're just renting it off them. So,
yeah.
So a bit of a shame, but thankfully most drivers and team personnel are here. And well, we've got a minute to go in the warm-up, and guys, we've got 25 cars in the server. This is going to be, I reckon it's going to be quite action-packed, and it's going to be quite busy out there.
Yep, biggest grid I've probably ever seen in a supercars race, and biggest grid I've ever seen around Barbagallo. So yeah, I do not know what to expect. To be honest, yeah, it's going to be absolutely electrifying.
Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, looks like we're restarting the warm-up here. Hopefully people don't don't crash out here. So it looks like one or two guys just having an issue, or perhaps drivers just needed a little bit of extra time here after the driver's briefing. But as we've seen here in qualifying, we've had qualifying now. What would you guys make of obviously the lap times that have been set, the grid that we have, and the possible strategies that these guys are running, considering that, of course, the drivers have to start the race on the compound that they qualified on?
I would like to see a repeat of what happened at Phillip Island first, where we've got drivers on mixed strategies, some going for the no stoppers and some going for the all-out attempt of just doing soft. So like we saw, we suspect Line Mitch is probably on soft. Same with Tim Redmond, and then we've got guys further down the field like Scott Stancliffe and some of the likes behind him that might go for the hard options. So a little bit of strategy could play in here too with the short pit lane time.
Yep. Yeah, if you're further down the field, you might as well risk it and go for the no stop. You know, there's nothing really to lose by going for that strategy. So we'll wait and see.
Yeah, I was speaking to Line Mitch just a couple of days ago, and he said to me there's about a 6-second difference between a no stop and a one stop, with the no stop being 6 seconds faster. But he said that, you know, when you are racing, of course, you know, you are going to lose time. You do have to do a bit of fuel saving. And at the same time, if you get caught up in a little bit of a battle or get a poor start, you're going to lose that 6 seconds pretty quickly. So it makes it a real toss-up which way to go. And I do think a number of guys at the front end of the field are on that one-stop strategy. But a couple of guys further back, if they are playing that no-stop strategy game, I reckon they could bring themselves into play, especially if there's a number of them and these front runners have to make their way through the field.
Or they could at least boost their position for race 2. If they just get within like the 10th, 9th, 8th position, they get a really good starting spot for the second race we have tonight with the top 10 reverse grid.
Yeah, so yeah, you're right there. Even if you just, you know, you may not get, you know, a win or even a 5th place, but if you can find yourself, you know, a little bit higher up than what you'd normally be, instead of, you know, finishing, you know, 16th or 17th, you play that no-stop strategy game, you could end up, you know, finishing 9th or 10th and ending up on the front row for race number 2. So, is another strategy element that a number of these guys at the back end of the field can certainly play. But does seem like a long drive briefing. Drivers haven't made their way back out onto the circuit as of yet. Usually when drivers do go onto the circuit, it means the driver's briefing has been concluded, and drivers just doing their final checks, which they haven't done yet. So still just under 3 minutes left in this sort of second warm-up session here. So
Yeah, there must be some really important argument going on in the driver's briefing, I reckon.
Possibly what plane they're taking to get home. Oh, here we go. Must be...
Yeah, we've got, yeah, it looks like it's just concluded. We've got Brapp and Daniel Cox now just leaving the pit lane. Might as well bring that up on screen for the viewers to see, instead of looking at the normal splash screen. And they're the only two at the moment. Did have a number of drivers in practice just having some issues crashing. I'm guessing that would be due to the number of cars out on the circuit that we're told to turn the graphics down. So a little bit of a stutter there. I reckon someone's just joined the server.
That's Cecil.
Yeah, so still waiting on a couple extra guys here, because we did have 25 there just prior to the warm-up restarting, and Mishra's jumped back in. So we're still just waiting on one more driver.
Just waiting on Snipesy.
And just looking at the live chat by our good friend Scott Nolan, saying it was a discussion about who's the biggest has-been, and everyone's voted for Luke Rosella. So congratulations, Luke. You are the biggest has-been at Automobilist Australia with your one championship in the Antara Boxer Cup. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, always wanted to be a has-been ever since I joined AMSOZ. It's been a long journey to get there, but yeah, really happy to finally get there. So yeah, thanks, mate.
Well, it's certainly better to be a has-been instead of a never was. So that at least you can claim, can say that you've at least been a somebody at some stage.
Yep. Yeah, weren't you another was, Lewis? I thought there was a vote a couple of weeks ago.
I'll just have a look at some of my championships that I've got here at Automotive
Oh,
Australia,
yeah, right.
and they do outnumber your single championships. So I'd say we're
Okay,
both a bunch of has-beens at this stage, mate.
Okay, copy that, mate.
And yeah, looking at your boy Pierre Roy, hasn't been able to make the first 2 rounds. He lives in Canada, I believe, so he gets up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
3 a.m.
3 a.m. just to race these races. So massive commitment from Pierre, and those that may be international, don't be afraid to jump in. As he's lost the rear end and he's off in the boonies.
In the boonies.
The server looks like it's just been knocked over to the race.
No, it's just been restarted.
No, it's been restarted again. So maybe a little bit of a later night for these guys this evening, or perhaps Stephen just has to just resort out the grid with a couple of drivers coming in and out. But yeah, got Pete Savage in the chat saying Luke Rosella getting a little bit defensive, and yeah, I'd have to agree there.
I made my one move, so it was a fair defence, I think.
One move that was. Okay, okay. I thought it was a little bit like Damon Hill at Montreal in 1998, but agree to disagree there, Mr. Defensive. As these drivers now, once again, just looking to get a little bit of extra practice in before race number 1. And Luke Rosella in chat saying, have a D1P. Just translate that to Luke Rosella is a has-been.
That's what I come up with too.
Looks like we've got.
Yeah, I think your translators are wrong. I think,
well, don't blame me. Just blame Google Translate, I think. But
yep.
Just looking over here, it's all these drivers. Well, pretty much everyone leaving the pits at the moment. But it looks like Nathan Higginson, Lime Mitch, and I think that's Mishra in the 33. If it's not, that's Brap in the second GRM car. Looks like they're practicing their starts. Looking nice and fancy on the stream. It's a little bit too fancy for the Super 2 Summer Series, but it's good to see some actual protocol going on out there, and that was Brap in the 33. So it's Brap in the 33 and Mishra in the 34.
Pete Savage in the chat. Gold Coast, Hans and Rosella flashbacks. Yes, Peter, I have had some flashbacks of Hans's colourful defensive driving. Yeah, we did have a discussion afterwards about it in a press conference, and yeah, I think that matter has been resolved. Let's say.
Yeah, it was resolved at Bathurst in a heated exchange between the two drivers after coming together there at the cutting. I do believe that was Luke Rosella's fault there, as he just kept his nose in it, even though there's a car right in front of him.
Do you expect drivers just to get out of the way of him?
He certainly does. That's what we got from that whole Gold Coast fiasco there. Expecting drivers just to get out of his way.
If you're in the way, you're in the way, mate. Get out of the way.
So, not sure. We just caught just before there. So going on now many tirades against Luke Rosella, but we were on board there for Mishra. It looked like he was trying a pit entry, but went sailing wide. I don't know if it was a proper attempt at a pit entry or if he's just cutting the inside to go and do a practice start. But if it was a practice pit entry, he's got a bit of work to do because he missed the final corner by a long way. And looks like the session
Finally
has ticked over, and we got DL Sim Racing 35 saying who's going to have the biggest dip. And well, Lime Mitch always has a big dip, but we've got Stankley starting at the back and or from the pits. So I'd expect Stancliffe to have a big dip unless he's on the no stop, which is very viable. But you can't go past the big dip man himself, Lime Mitch. In fact, he probably should just rename himself to Big Dip instead of Lime Mitch.
Should just rebrand all his cars to Big Dip.
Certainly be a lot better than the
Distracting Llama.
That is up there. I wish we did have in the Automobilist Australia end of year poll or survey what was the ugliest livery as opposed to which was the best presented, because that car would have won hands down, and it may even have been unanimous.
I think it was a masterpiece, bud. Don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but Euro never was.
I thought it was a has-been, now I never was.
Alright, well, the formation lap has got underway. I think we're missing more than one guy on the grid here, so I'm just going to cycle through and try and find out who that is. Oh, both the Red Bulls starting from the pits here. So, I don't think Peter Thrower had a penalty. Now, Scott Stancliffe did, so that's something to look out for. But anyway, Rossi, you said to give you a break, so Luke Rosell, I want you to run us through the grid here for race number 1 from Barbagallo Raceway.
Mitch on the pole position in the go-getter Nissan. He'll be starting alongside Tim Redmond in the Walkinshaw Racing Commodore Turbo P3, and Z Snipes P4. And then he's followed by Nathan Higginson. Good job by him, P5. And then reigning champion, Waldrick Mishra P6, sorry. And then the reigning champion Steve Burko will be starting in P7. P8 is of course Peter Thrower, but that'll change when the cars get to the grid. He'll be starting from the pit lane. Matt Cecil in P9, Daniel Cox in the sister Pro Drive Racing Falcon in P10, Taipan P11, Lachlan Burke the rookie in P12, Brap and Dimitri are in P13 and 14, Lachlan Locke in the Erebus Commodore in P15, Brody P16, Steve Warwick P17, Glenn Moles in the DGR Team Penske Falcon in P18, P19 Brian Walsh, P20 it's the Canadian Pierre Roy, P21 Mike Coulston, the Camel, P22 Freakish, P23 Justin Cecil, and reigning at the grid, P24 Darren Kemp.
Alright, so yeah, there it is. Both the Red Bulls now just waiting at the end of the pit lane. Hopefully they don't cross the line. Just have a look there. Getting very close, but it's, here we go here. Moments away from the start. Here from Barbagallo Raceway. Looks like Pierre Roy's just missed his grid slot there, and Brian Walsh is a long way back in his, so I'm guessing that he's one of the cars that the game's waiting on. And indeed it was. Makes a habit of that, but lights are on. Away we go. Looks like a fairly even start, but Lion Mitch has got his way into the lead into turn 1. Will they make it through cleanly? For the most part, looks like they have. Pierre Roy going around the outside there, but Lion Mitch leads through sector 1. Yeah,
pretty fair driving between the two drivers. Tim Redmond have a bit of a go.
He's having a dip, and we did have Darren Kempoff in the background there, but Lion Mitch just trying to hold on for now. Redmond up the inside, but he can hold on around the outside at the bowl. A little bit of a hip and shoulder on the exit. I don't think Lion Mitch will be too pleased with that. NZ Snipes up a spot. He's jumped ahead of... I think he was jumped ahead of, but it's also got Mishra up 2 spots. Two Nissans battling it out.
Thought about it.
Second. Also got Dimmy up the inside of Cox. Dimmy's up 5 spots up into P9, so great start from Dimmy. And Turmo, he was one of the drivers that's had a poor start, and we've got one of the BJR cars off in the background there. That's Freakish, and he's ended up having to go through the pit lane.
So that's going to cost him a pit stop, so he's pretty much committed to a long race from now on. Hopefully he's got hard tyres selected, because otherwise he's going to have to come in again.
So, field just starting to spread out here. Redmond in the lead. So he's got Lime Mitch for company.
Mishra all over the back of Ensley Snipes in the slipstream. Battle for P3. Ensley Snipes is going to cover the inside coming into the last corner. Good defensive driving by the New Zealander. And
Mishra's had a good run. Mishra's had a good run though. Tried the up and under, and he's going to have the inside for turn number 1 here. But Snipes just, he gave him room. He's given him room, but he's going to hold on around the outside. So great driving from NZ Snipes, holding on to 3rd place here.
Mishra wasn't deep enough though into turn 1. He should have went more deep into the brakes, but he was too half-hearted. And as he starts prevails, keeps P3 there.
And a little bit further back behind Mishra, got Higginson just ahead of Turmo, and Burko's all over the back of Turmo. So nice little battle pack forming behind NZ Snipes. Got Matt Cecil just locking up there on the way into the bowl. And Dimmy, he's lost out a couple spots, but he's still up a number of spots. And then a little bit further back, Rody up 3 spots. He's ahead of Warwick, who's up 3. Pierre Roy up 5, and he's looking to get a move done, as Warwick's looking to get a move done on Rody here into the final corner. So battles up and down the field here. And up the inside Warwick goes. Does he pull it up? Yes, he does. And now Pierre Roy looking like he's going to try and set up a move into turn 1, but he's going to have to go the long way as Rody's parked himself on the inside. So Roy going to try and do what he did on the first lap, but turn 1 just a little bit too long, and Rody holds on a little bit further ahead. And Turmo now all over the back of Nathan Higginson as they come into the bowl. One feels it's only a matter of time before Higginson succumbs to Turmo or Burko in behind.
Just to point out, Freakish has DNF'd. He looked to have lost a bonnet, so he must have made some heavy contact when he accidentally spun into pit lane.
Yeah, so perhaps some other damage, or perhaps he didn't even repair it at the pit stop, if he even did enter into his pit box. There's Turmo now looking to make a move into turn 1, and that he shows Mishra, even though it's a little bit further down the road, how it's done. Deeper on the brakes and fully commits to the move. Oh, and Burko right out sideways, clipped the curve there at turn 2 and did a good job of not throwing it into the fence. So having a big dip, had a big slide, and we'll have big skid marks in that race suit.
Yep, skid marks both on the track and in the race seat there. Yeah, probably so far save of the day, I reckon. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it'd have to be save of the day. Is Higo himself was a little bit sideways. He had a little bit of a rub with Turmo through the bowl. But Turmo now looking to advance down the road. Back up at the front. Gap's not really spread out at all. It's sort of remained at about a half a second of 0.6. So very close between Redmond and Lime Mitch at the moment.
Dimitri's up the circuit. He's in the fence at the last quarter.
Ooh, yes he is. And he's going to come back, and Steve Warwick's on around. And Dimmy's just getting out of the way for the faster runners, but just try and catch a replay here to catch what poor Dimmy's done. That's one of his best opening stanzas to his very young sim racing career. And yeah, it's just coming in a bit too deep, and he's going fishing out there.
Yeah, very easy to do there, like I said. Downhill braking zone, and yeah, it's hard to be a bit ballsy in the last quarter and run it wide.
So one of the closer battles on track, Higginson and Burko now. So Higginson's just fallen off the back of Turmo. He's ran wide at the final corner, and Burko says thank you very much, and he's gonna do. He's done a really good job to avoid the tire wall there. If you do hit those tires, they do more damage to the concrete. So he may have. And he's very sideways again. I reckon those rear tires of his are gone.
Yeah, he should have just went down the old pit lane. It would have been faster. It looked like that way he was going to go down there, but great save by Nathan Higginson, and he holds on to P9.
I think it's just a little bit too out of control to be able to try and attempt it, but he is struggling at the moment. Looks like his pit crew are getting ready, and I'd imagine he's going to set some hard tyres onto that car a little bit further ahead of him. Daniel Cox says, I think he's been just overtaken by Matt Cecil, I think. So I do believe the Botlow car was ahead of Cecil at some point, as we see Higginson come into the pits. It is a fairly tricky pit lane. He's been conservative, is Higginson, on the way in. When we ran here in supercars, the pit lane speed limit wasn't changed. It was 60 or 80 in the race, but it has been changed now to proper 40 kilometers per hour. Also got Mishra in the pits as well.
Yep, Lime Mitch right on the back of race leader Tim Redmond. It's just 0.2 of a second separates these two. And well, you can say the race has gone planned for them. They're streaking ahead of the rest of the field on soft tyres. So the strategy might be working for them.
It looks like they're both coming in here. Go ahead, Rossi.
I'm just keeping an eye on the two Red Bulls at the back, and they are doing lap times in the high 56s, low 57s compared to our two front runners who are in the pits now as they make contact.
Oh, they made contact! They made contact in the pit lane.
Yeah, so
Right, Mitch.
We'll cut to a replay of that because right on board, I can try and find him here. If it wants to find Lion Mitch here, I do apologise. There we go, Lion Mitch. Yeah, Lion Mitch is just a little bit more aggressive on the way into the pit lane and yeah, straight into the back.
He's jumped him in the pit lane as well.
I reckon like he was quick on the mark to repair his damage, and he didn't lose time out that way,
yeah.
Or he's just put in less fuel, which is a factor, guys, with the adjusted fuel time for this mod. So perhaps Redman's just overfilled, or perhaps he's repaired his damage. But Lion Mitch now into what could be the effective lead, but we don't know what all the strategies are.
Yeah, well, he's got to concentrate now. He's got Brupp in front of him, but Tim Redmond all over the rear of that Nissan. Gonna use the traffic as an advantage, holding that inside line. Oh, it's close racing.
And Brupp smartly just didn't turn in there with intelligent driving. And yeah, the Red Bulls there, they're down in 13th for Stancliffe, and he's yet to pit, so he'd probably find himself in the lead if he didn't start from the pits, but it may be something that he could try next time in race number 2. As all lock up for Lion Mitch to turn 1, not ideal, but now it's his turn to set the pace, as he now is the race leader, as we see a number of drivers in the pits. Got NZ Snipes and Lachlan locked side by side through turn number 2. So Snipes has been caught out by Turmo. Turmo's jumped ahead of Mishra in the pit stop sequence. So staying out just a little bit longer for Turmo has worked, but now he's got to navigate his way past Lock here into the bowl and try and not lose too much time to the main man he's looking to battle at the moment, which is NZ Snipes. But he's also got Mishra for company, having a look up the inside as well. Mishra's teammate just ahead of him as well. And so Lock in the pits. Mishra up the inside on two wheels. Doing a bit of cycling action there. That's Turmo holding on. And Brapp here must be on that that zero stop strategy here. He's just quite a bit slower, and he could do his teammate a little bit of a favour here if he can just balk Turmo in the right spot. Turmo though, he's going to try and go around the outside. He's going to do it. So that's the difference of fresh soft tyres and some worn out hard tyres. And Burko's now bought into this mix as well.
Burko already with that grip advantage just overtaking him at the bowl too, so you just definitely notice a grip difference.
And he's made up a heap of time as well in this last half a lap, because he wasn't in the shot, and now he's right behind Mishra. So good lap here for Burko, and puts it all together. May just be able to sneak himself into the top 4. In fact, he's done his personal best of the race at 55.8, which is I think the 3rd fastest lap of the race. Yeah, one of only 3 in the 55s. And now side by side, he's got ahead of Mishra. That is a
wow.
I don't know how he's done that. Just confidence, as looks like Dimitri has got himself another disqualification here. So what has he done?
Well, such a shame. He had such a great start to the race. He's thrown it all
I'd say
away.
I'd say he's picked up track cuts or a drive-through for something, and just not served it. I'm guessing that's what he's doing each and every time to get himself disqualified.
Just a bit of inexperience.
Oh, we got Turbo off.
Oh!
Turbo off at the last corner.
Burko's off as well, and it just sympathy there.
Oh,
I don't know what happened there.
What is going on with these guys? These are experienced drivers. Now, Burko did have Mishra fairly close to him. Mishra did have a little bit of look. Looks like they both just out broke themselves, and well, they've gone fishing. So all that hard work that Burko had done, and now he's stuck behind Brian Walsh, who's trying to, looks like, let him go on the inside of a corner, which isn't particularly well advised, but there we go. And yeah, from 4th and 5th to now 5th and 6th for these
the
guys.
lead, guys. It's going to be setting up.
Over the back of him.
Trying the outside. He's going to get a good run though in the pit straight, but Mitch blocks him.
Yeah, Line Mitch clever to it, just parked himself on the apex and meant that Redmond couldn't get that vital momentum coming out of the final corner. But this is it, Line Mitch, Tim Redmond, at 14 of 16. Gentlemen, take your bets.
Limich is probably one of the hardest people to get past when he's on, so Tim Redmond's got his work cut out for him, but he has won races before, so he's no slouch in this series.
Yeah. Probably the... Oh, he's going to have a look! Mitch gives him a bit too much space, I feel, but I think he's going to have the better run here, Lime Mitch. And Redmond's going to try use the slipstream to get ahead of him. He blocks. Coming to the last corner.
They've got a car off as well at the final corner there.
Going for the outside move.
No way.
He's got it done, but now there's traffic in the way. Lime Mitch is going to have a look.
Oh!
They're going to go side by side through one as they navigate through Roadie. A little bit of door banging as they go through 1 and 2. And through turn 3, another little nudge. Lime Mitch now going to try and go around the outside. But you're not going to be able to hold on there.
He's going to have to give it up.
But now he has the slipstream, which might be the deciding factor, as these two are separated by absolutely nothing.
Yeah, just was about to say before, two of the most hardest working drivers this week, both logging up heaps of laps in the practice servers, and it's paid off. They're considerably ahead of everyone else. But here we go, Lime Mitch gonna have a bit of a look down the inside, but still.
Lock up for a little bit of a lock up for Redmond, and you do have to worry a little bit when Lime Mitch does have a look, because he does have a tendency to send it. So it's not just a. As we go side by side through one, we have seen it happen earlier in this race, but with two drivers so evenly matched, it's not really going to happen. They've got a little bit of lap traffic in front of them. That's Steve Warwick, but I think this is going to come down to the final corner. Whoever gets the best exit out of the bowl, as Redmond has a little bit of sideways moment coming out of turn, I think that's turn 5 there, into the bowl. Redmond just drops the nose a little bit of Lime Mitch.
Mitch needs a good run out of here. Needs a good run.
It's not had it though.
A good run.
Nah.
Yeah, about 3/10 away. So it looks like Redmond will just hold on here. All he's got to do is make the corner though. You never know. He could run wide. Mitch is having a big dip and he's sideways. He's gone. He's in the fence.
He's going to cost him a podium maybe.
And Entered Snipes is going to come around and take second here. And
he's completely
in the pits.
Folded.
He's gone. Mishra's going to come home and finish in third place. And he's going to have to finish in the pit lane. Burko's going to come home in fourth, just ahead of Termo. And Lime Mitch has actually dropped behind Cecil. And he still has... Oh, there we go. He's just crossed the start-finish line. He'll finish in 8th, just ahead of Stancliffe and Taipan. So, costly mistake.
I don't understand why he's gone through the pit lane. Maybe I'm thinking he's getting a better position for the reverse grid race, but I don't understand.
He lit up the tyres too much and it just flicked him into the pits.
Perhaps, I think, was just trying not to spin back onto the racing line or onto the racetrack. That may have been part of it as well. Maybe think, oh, just go into the pits, that way, won't run into anybody. But he still picks up points in 8th place, but it could have been and should have been at least a 2nd place there. But just to run through the remaining order, Higginson in the end finishing in 11th, so those tyre drums just before the pit stop there costing him dearly. Bratt coming home in 12th place. Justin Cecil up 10 spots. He finishes 13th. Mike Coulston home in 14th. Pierre Roy on, I think this is his debut, or if it's not his debut, he's didn't make the last round. But this is his first round in the Walkinshaw car. He'll come home in 15th. Lachlan Burke home in 16th. Lachlan Locke home in 17th. Steve Warwick home in 18th. And Rhodey in 19th with Brian Walsh and Peter Thrower in 20th and 21st, with Darren Kemp rounding out the field. So a bit of a disaster there for Darren Kemp, with Glenn Miles, Freakish, both non-finishers, with Dimitri getting another disqualification.
Well, what an exciting finish we got there in the end. Lime Mitch was looking, in my opinion, to be, a probable winner there, but got passed by Tim Redman. Maybe a bit of a red mist going on, and lit up the tyres at the last quarter and cost himself a pretty decent result. If you can't win the race, you'll take second. But like I said, he's completely bowled a really, really good result.
At least he had a dip. Sometimes drivers, in that situation, would just sit there. But as we know, Lime Mitchie gets in there. If he sees an opportunity of maybe having a look and getting a job done, especially in the last corner, last lap, he goes and has a dip. Didn't quite work for him this time, but at least he had a go out there. But from what we saw, though, with Rossi and Luke, who would be your, driver outside of Tim Redmond or Lime Mitch there in race number 1 from Barbagallo?
For me, firstly, I think Scott Stancliffe, he made the no-stop strategy work, and he's end up finishing up in 9th position. So he's sort of, across 2 races, he's maximised his starting position to make this second race starting in 2nd. So, to start virtually from pit lane and then take the sacrifice of getting a good start for this race, getting all the way out to 9th. He's pretty much my driver.
Yeah, my driver. I'll pick Steve Burko. Decent qualifying position. He hasn't shown he's like the qualifying specialist this season so far, but he made the strategy work. Made some pretty daring overtaking manoeuvres during that race, and it all paid off in the end. A solid 4th place for Steve Burko, so he's my driver of the day.
He did have that one moment there at the final corner, which in the end, it probably did cost him a podium position because he was ahead of Mishra at that stage. But he did have some really good overtaking manoeuvres and did a really solid job. And same too with Stancliffe starting from the pits to end up where he did. Unfortunately, though, Rossi, he did pick up penalties which accrued. So he'll start again from the back of the field. It's not a pit lane start. He doesn't have to start from the pits in race number 2, but he will have to start from the back of the field. So a little bit frustrating, but from what we saw, he didn't have any issues in this one, and it should hopefully mean that next time out he'll have a nice clean run in the next rounds. Anyway, we're just a few moments away, probably about 5 minutes away from race number 2 here from Barbagallo. The server just needs to be ticked over to the warm-up. We'll probably take a short break if it does, but very intriguing race number 1 there. Just gonna have a look to see if the points have been updated, so just bear with me here. Yes, it has ticked over to the warm-up session, so I'll just try and find a driver to whack on screen. In fact, might as well chuck Mr. Stancliffe screen for everybody to watch as I try and figure out here the points if they have been updated for me. Alright, so it looks like they have. With Tim Redmond now obviously still in front in the championship on 999 points, if that's correct. Steve Burko's actually moved up to 2nd place in the standings after that. With that 4th place in the end, and he's 12 points ahead of Lime Mitch. So Lime Mitch was 2nd, and that mistake has cost him dearly in the championship. And it's certainly going to make things tough for him. And then we have Daniel Cox on 744. He's not far away, so 2nd place. 3 drives very, very close with Burko, McGovern, Lime Mitch, and Daniel Cox. NZ Snipes as well with his solid result. He's on 717 points now in 5th place. He's breaking away from Termo, who's in 6th. Matt Cecil on 627, moving up in the standings. Typhan on 609, and Mishra on 540. Peter Thrower on 525. He's out. Or sorry, no, he's just on the edge of the top 10 now. And he's actually in front of his teammate by 3 points after his point penalty. Darren Kemp on 516. Warwick on 459. Hans Brunswick 426 due to the non-start, of course. 381 for Justin Cecil. Lachlan Lock on 375. Cheese on 363, followed by Rody 357. Crap on 330. Latino on 237. And yeah, that is the top 20 in the drivers' standings. Team standings haven't been updated as of yet, but that'll be done later on in the evening. So interesting in the championship, fellas. Redmond still, unfortunately for us, just starting to eke ahead, but second place all the way down to 5th, very, very close.
Yeah, I'll take nothing away from Redmond. He's done a phenomenal job to win, I think it's 4 or 5 races now, across 3 nights and basically 4 rounds. So, yeah, for virtually second place all the way down to 5th place, you said, that's very good, considering the amount of drivers we had and the mix-up of the field we've had with reverse grids and just the short amount of tracks we've used in the short amount of time.
Redmond certainly has done a stellar job. He's putting in a lot of laps each week. So he did finish the regular Super 2 season very, very strongly, and I do believe he scored the most amount of points since the moment, if we were counting from when he joined Super 2 last season. And he's certainly continued that trend here at the start of this season. He's put in a lot of laps and it's paid off for him. Lime Mitch gave him a fair run for his money a couple of times this season, but looks like that consistency though, just not quite there yet for Lime Mitch.
No, he hasn't got the same consistency as he did at the start of last season, but he is there or thereabouts now. It's just a little error that came into his game there for the last race, and then a couple of unfortunate incidences that happened at Phillip Island in that last race, which cost him a good position. But to be 3rd in the championship so far is a good effort on his behalf.
So yeah, just cut to Roy, just throwing it into the fence there. It's Burko now currently topping the warm-up session. Let's jump over to the track map just to kill a little bit of time here. So here we are at Barbagallo Raceway, located in Western Australia, of course. 2.4 kilometres, 7 turns. Average speed of, I can't read that because it's too small, and top speed of 255 kilometres per hour. Just prior to the braking zone at turn number 7. You're at full throttle for about 43% of the lap. But certainly, guys, when you've got some worn tyres out there, particularly the rear left, don't think you're going to be full throttle for 43%. You're going to be trying to modulate that a little bit because you don't want to be pointing the wrong way.
We're seeing that more down the 20% once they go on the red.
Yeah, certainly you want a good, some really good traction in your setup while setting up the car for this. But yeah, probably one of my favourite short Australian track of the supercars calendar. This is one of my least favourites coming up next round, but yeah, it's one of my favourite short tracks of Australian motorsport. I think it provides some good racing, a good challenge for the driver, and yeah, that's what you want in any circuit.
Yeah, good challenge certainly for the drivers. There's nothing much in it when you do go racing around this circuit, it being so short and there being so little corners, but you do in a race setting you do have to look after those tyres, particularly the rear left. I was going over, as I do before each round of Super 2, I try and find, to get the graphics as well as just to see what happened in the real life event. I was watching the radio days of the 2016 race prior to the 2017 one, and did see everybody one stop in that race except for Craig Lowndes, and he come through the field at the back end of that race on a fresh set of tyres, and he had to be over a second a lap faster to get into the lead, which he did. He was passing people, where you don't normally expect. Very similar to what we saw last time out. Not so much tonight, but at Phillip Island, where we saw drivers on soft tyres just flat out going around the outside of people at places like Lukey Heights and places where you don't normally see people go side by side.
Yeah, well, on the outsides and sometimes on the insides on the really awkward 90-degree corners. But yeah, just the grip advantage that the newer cars had on these new soft tyres compared to cars that have been out there for already 2-3 laps. Yeah, you could really tell who was on what tyre, and after a corner or two, they were already 2 seconds up the field.
Yes, and well, we've had another driver join the session. And everybody that is watching along in the chat, we need you all to spam Go Hans, because Hans Brunswick has joined the server in the warm-up session. Our Lord and Saviour, Hans Brunswick, Lord Chompers himself, and he's got himself a GDB.
Oh, no.
So it looks like we won't be having Hans in the race. Unless the warm-up gets restarted, which... in that case, I could send him the update. So, if you just bear with me for one moment, we'll try and get this sorted and get Lord Chompers himself out there and racing. So, if Luke or if Rossi could go and just, I don't know, spam shit, that'd be great. But looks like it's ticked over to the race, and we're going to get racing instead, unfortunately.
Spam shite. Righto, I'll go find this place. Yeah, well, unfortunately, it does look like we are going to be racing without Hans.
What a shame.
We've had someone else drop out as well, because we did have 25.
Pierre Roy's just left the game.
So I do wonder if it will get restarted here. And we have had Nathan Hickinson just go back to the pits and rejoin. Just in the nick of time, actually. Lap is getting underway, but just bear with us here as we find out what happens.
I'll just run through the grid just in case we are going to a start here, but from the pole we have got Taipan. In second place we've got Limich after his mistake in race 1. Matt Cecil and Daniel Cox will share the second row of the grid in third and fourth, along with Termo and Steve Burko. Ujrit Mishra alongside NZ Snipes in 7th and 8th. Tim Redman and Nathan Higginson round out the top 10. We've got Brap and Justin Cecil in 11th and 12th, followed by Mike Coulston in 13th and Lachlan Burke in 14th in the Team 18 car. We've also got Lachlan Locke in 15th, Steve Warwick in 16th, Brody starting in 17th, Brian Walsh and Peter Thrower in 19th and 18th, sorry, Darren Kemp and Glenn Miles 20th and 21st, with Freakish after his DNF in race 1, 22nd. Dimitri with his DQ in 23rd, and Scott Stancliffe with his post-race penalty from last round in 24th.
Yes, it doesn't look like we will be getting a restart here. Just double check one moment. No, I haven't seen anything as of yet. So it looks like we are going ahead for race number 2. So unfortunately, Han's not going to be able to make this one.
Yes, I have just got confirmation too that yes, we are continuing. So I'm just due to time we have to skip through.
F.
Alright, so big F in the chat.
I've managed to weasel my way into the commentary box.
Oh no!
Oh, we have found Thomas Mazira.
Oh, did you bring Thomas with you, mate?
Thomas couldn't make it over to the WA. He had a golf tournament to go to.
Ah, fair enough. All right.
Oh, he didn't get lost on the Zimbabwe plane.
Fine though.
Alright, but looks like once again we're waiting for someone who hasn't lined up in their grid slot correctly.
Take a pic.
Here we go.
Alright, here we go. Lights are on. Taipan and Lymich off the front row, and oh my god, Dimitri's got himself another penalty, unfortunately, and we've got a couple of cars back. Looks like
Ryan Walsh is around.
is gone around, but into turn 1, Lymich leads. Does anything else untoward happen in turn 1? No, but we'll just have a look at the replay and see what happened to Brian Walsh here. Did he just gas it off the start, or did he get hit? No, he ran into the back of Warwick, who went nowhere, and that meant both Stancliffe, Freakish and Kemp and Dimitri had to take evasive action. But further ahead though, Lymich in the lead, Taipan holds on to second, then we've got Cecil and Burko in third and fourth. Burko up 2 spots, Coxey's lost 2 spots ahead of Mishra in P6. Mishra looking to get the job done and immediately get himself into the top 5. And then we have Tim Redmond already up 2 spots.
Mishra looking a little bit aggressive as he was just going all over the place behind Daniel Cox, looking both inside and outside, and he's got Tim Redmond looking at him into turn 1.
And we've
Few
got
cars. They were taking the old entry to pit road that was on the outside of the circuit, going way over the curb.
just having big dips out there for these drivers. But
Well, if you have too much of a big dip, Lewis, it becomes an insertion at that point.
big insertion. That Steve
Tactical
Burko.
insertion.
Tactical insertion. But Taipan now looking like he's just.
Oh, Higginson at cold corner, making a move on. But speaking of big dips, he's made a massive move on NZ Snipes, but Snipes is back on the inside of him, and they run down to final corner on this track, turn 7.
Snipes going to big go at Higginson again. Gets the move done, but Higginson, he wants more. Going to look to get the good run out of the final corner. Against these Snipes blocks. Going to turn 1, and looks like he's going to hold the position.
Surprised didn't see Turmo just sneak up the inside at turn 1 there, because Higginson did leave himself vulnerable for a split second. But further ahead, Cox has been thrown aside, as has Cecil, who's been dumped by Burko, and well, Burko's now up into P2, so this is one of his better runs or starts to a race so far this season. It's Redmond getting by Cecil at cold corner there at the bowl.
Lymich has really walked away from the field at 2.3 seconds ahead.
But,
Pretty good at this track, actually. We raced this track earlier with the IGL League, and Mitch was one of the protagonists.
And Daniel Cox, I thought there was going to be a Primo Courtney moment at Phillip Island there at the final corner there, but thankfully Cox was able to slow up just enough to not send Tim Redmond off into the Shadow Realm. So good for the championship, but certainly good for Tim Redmond and for Daniel Cox there, because that would have been a big one. But, yeah, as you say, Lymich has just blown the doors off everyone at the moment. He was one of the 2 fastest drivers in race number 1 and in qualifying. And, well, he's rectifying the mistake he made at the end of race number 1 by just driving away from everybody. And in fact, looks like Burko, he hasn't really driven away from Taipan here, guys. Taipan doing a really good job.
Yep, doing his best to stick with Steve Burko here.
Oh,
Come
on!
Into the side of Steve Burko. That was a horrible move by Taipan. Looks like he outbroke himself.
And Burko's not too happy with that one. And well, there's another big free kick for Tim Redmond, who's now up into P2.
Oh my god.
And he didn't even get balked by any of that, because they're both off the road in front of him, and he set a personal best. Also another free kick from Mishra, who stole the podium and was one of the beneficiaries of Lymich's off in the final corner of the final lap last time out. And once again finds himself in a podium position. Taipan dropping down to P5. So in the end, it was big contact, but thankfully for Burko and for Taipan, it didn't drop all the way down the back end of the field.
Yep, Steve Burko, I imagine be absolutely blowing up on the radio to his engineer there. Not happy with it, of course, showing the flash of the lights. But he's get his head down and try and get back. Where was he actually when he was hit? Was he P3, P2?
No,
I
he
think,
was P2. He was P2.
Yeah.
So he got hit by Taipan.
Yeah, Taipan had a big dip at the final.
Dimitri is disqualified. Didn't serve his
my.
penalty in time.
Someone I think is going to have to show him between races how to serve a penalty and what the icons mean. I think is every race.
So Burko, he's obviously been sent by Taipan. Now, I wonder if which driver thinks, I mean, knowing racing drivers, they probably think they're both at fault, but Steve Burko definitely not at fault there.
I don't know.
Wasn't quite on, and Taipan just a bit too adventurous. Still though, in a solid P5, Burko, he'll be looking for perhaps an undercut to get himself in front of Mishra or Redmond here. We did see the first batch of stops in race number 1 happen around lap 6 and 7, so I do expect a number of drivers in. But Taipan now, it looks like he's a bit of a cork in the bottle for a number of runners. He's got Matt Cecil and NZ Snipes behind him. You see Turmo running wide at turn 1. He's got Coxie right behind him. Higginson also there in 10th place. And Justin Cecil and Lachlan Burke not too far away either.
Burko went well wide of the ideal line at turn 4, so that wasn't ideal for him. Managed to keep it on the black stuff, that's important. And what was looking like one of his best runs this season so far, unfortunately, is sort of, the wheels have sort of come off it a little bit, but there's still the first round of pit stops to go.
Yeah, so it looks like Mishra, his pit crew, GRM getting ready. Line Mitch is going around again. Redmond going around again. So Mishra did pit early last time, I believe. It didn't quite work out for him. Yep, here we go. Didn't quite work out for him last time.
Gonna try the undercut.
Yeah, but
And Taipan follows.
not a bad idea to come in and have a crack. Also got, looks like, I think Steve Warwick, another one into the pits as well. And Matt Cecil will be hoping that that'll release him a little bit and be able to just stretch away and give himself a little bit of breathing room over NZ Snipes there. But Snipes podium once again in race number 1, and quite good here again. Race number 2.
Yeah, just keeping himself out of trouble and just picking up drivers where he can. So, well done to him. He did win a race at the previous round at Phillip Island, so he does have pedigree behind him.
Taipan's
drive-through.
I'm guessing he's come into the pits a little bit too hot there, and there you go.
In the pit lane for sure. Meanwhile, Burko is in the pits. Redmond is going round again. Lime Mitch is in the pits. Ooh, just got it stopped.
Got Cox in the pits, Snipes and Cecil side by side.
Oh, Cecil's off, but he's in the kitty litter.
Brian Walsh has just been released ahead of Burko. Did he get held up? No, not quite.
It's all going off. Just yeah, Matt Cecil. Looks like he outbroke himself. And
Bit of contact.
Yeah.
Obviously, the turning circle on the Go-Getter Altima needs a bit of work.
And Miles has got himself a penalty. Again, I'm guessing these guys just coming into the pits a little bit too hot, which is easy to do at this pit lane. We do want to carry a heap of speed, but it's very easy to muck up and, well, miss the pit lane entirely or come in a bit too hot.
Let's see, Redmond looks like he's going to be diving in. Yes, he is. Here we go. So let's keep our eyes on where Line Mitch is circulating.
Line Mitch is right
and
behind.
And Turbo come in as well.
Line Mitch got held up a little bit by Glenn Miles, and he's also got Brap just in front of him. And Miles almost doing the same thing. A Taipan, I think, has come into the pits and got another drive through, has he? That's Redmond now off the jacks and away he goes. But
here we go.
Line Mitch did have a fairly sizable lead.
Cecil off the road at turn 1.
Lime is only at the last corner.
So Matt Cecil inherited the lead, and he's just made it all go wrong at turn 1. I was just about to say Matt Cecil, the Motorsport Australia / Cricket Australia / Formula 1 management / FIA board member. He does a lot of things, Matt Cecil, and he still has the time to come and race. Very good job.
Busy man. Now, Line Mitch is... Well, I don't know if he's in the effective race lead. I reckon Stancliffe is doing the no-stop again, and he is in the race lead. Cecil looks like he's coming in, but Stancliffe trying the no-stop currently in the effective
Oh,
race lead.
Burko real committed there.
Stancliffe definitely on the hard tyres because he didn't make any headway when he started from the back of the grid.
And he is doing the same lap times he was doing last race, so similar times are going on.
Yeah, so something to look out for it. Oh, no.
Taipan, another drive-through penalty.
I think that's
When it
just,
rains, it pours, it seems.
he's not in the... No, is he in the pits? I don't know, I can't tell if he's just exited the pits. But
He's just exited the pits.
Oh, disaster. But it looks like Mishra, a big winner in the pit stops. He made up quite a bit of time on Tim Redmond in that pit stop sequence. So the undercut did work for him, but of course he's going to have some reused rubber by the back end of the race. Out front though, Stancliffe is in the lead, and no love lost between himself and Lion Mitch, of course, but
Best of friends.
Best friends.
Stancliffe on the harder tyre, it seems. The older hard tyre, and Lion Mitch on a fresh set of soft tyres. But if Stancliffe has any chance here, guys, he's got to defend here early for the next 3 laps.
Braps off!
And
Braps off the road.
hope that Lion Mitch uses up his tyres as Brap goes off for a bit of an adventure there.
Dukes of Hazzard stuff, I think.
Well, Scott is doing
Lion
the
Mitch
same.
around the outside. He's got Stancliffe. He makes that Commodore as wide
my
as
God.
momentum.
That's a bit adventurous there. That door was always closing as Taipan goes for another adventure through the pits.
Stancliffe might be helping out his mate Tim Redmond here because he's beginning to close on the Nissan.
He's going defensive early, but
He's going to cover.
we've seen Lion Mitch go around the outside before, and he's going to try it again. Much more confident under braking. He will have the grip, and he'll probably have the traction as well.
He's got it.
He's got it.
Yes. Good move.
And that cost Lion Mitch quite a bit of time because he was about 4 seconds ahead of Tim Redmond before he caught the back of Stancliffe, and now it's only about 3 or 2 seconds. And Stancliffe's deep under brakes, and he's off in the
Really
boonies.
took him out.
And
Would have been one of the biggest incidents. Dead set, that would have been the biggest blue in the stewards room.
That would have been a talking point. Absolute talking point. Controversial
So
incident there.
Definitely going to get mentioned in the next race briefing, I'm sure.
yeah, just outbroke himself, and almost sent
Oh,
Mitch
Brody
to
getting
Mars.
dive bomb there.
It's Burko now right up behind Stancliffe. Those hard tyres have got him up the field, but that off probably, well, it will cost him a podium.
Yeah.
I'd have to imagine with
Game
Burko
over.
right behind him.
Podium vision.
Still a
podium finish.
solid effort from the back of the field though. A little bit of a serve there from Burko. But Burko probably would have got him there anyway. Mishra looking to take advantage though. Burko having to just park his car in the middle of the road as Mishra gets the rear over the hump there. And we've seen drivers lose it there in the past. And Stancliffe right
really
behind
closed
Mishra.
up under brakes. I'm very surprised at the braking performance of the car.
Might have a braking issue, I reckon, on Stancliffe's car.
Oh, we got, is that Turmo?
Oh.
No, that is Turmo. It's just lost out to Cox there, running wide at the final corner. And Brian Walsh looks like he's letting a number of cars go in the back there. So you see Brapp and Higginson side by side over the start-finish line. And they're just behind Justin Cecil, who is having one of his best months of the season there in 10th place.
Battle for third rages on between Mishra and Burko. Just disposed of my teammate Brady. Oh,
Big slide.
Sideways coming out of cold corner.
Yeah, that's certainly not ideal. Just a little bit too much throttle for Mishra. And you've got to remember, of course, Mishra did pit 1 lap earlier than everyone else outside of Taipan.
Gonna be in the struggle straight.
Oh, and
Was it
Snipes
Mishra?
in the background as well, having a bit of a slide going through the final corner. But, Redmond has sort of closed up the gap between himself and Mitch just a little bit. 1.3 seconds between first and second. Burko and Mishra not separated by much. And NZ Snipes has actually made his way ahead of Stancliffe. So just have a look here into turn 1 on the replay. And yeah, just no grip from Stancliffe there. And well, Snipes just powering straight by him. So, and Stancliffe coming into the pits here, I reckon he might have a puncture. He might have a
it
puncture.
seems alright. He would have nearly lost it if he had a puncture. So I think might be maybe he's accidentally hit the button
Yeah, it might be the game automatically coming up, but certainly Snipes just drove around him like he was nothing. The gap at the front has come down to 7/10 of a second, but it's probably just a little bit too much for Tim Redmond to make up in the final lap here.
I've been noticing the driving styles, fella, of Steve Burko and Orjit Mishra. Mishra uses one gear less. He uses the second gear in a lot of the third gear corners, whereas Burko stays in third gear. So that's why he's probably lighting it up a lot, because he's using more of the revs. But sometimes at Barbagallo, it helps to be able to use the torque of the engine at low revs.
Yeah, so just a little bit further ahead, the battle for the lead does rage. There's a little bit of a chance for Redmond here if Mitch makes a mistake. Did make it here last time out, albeit in reverse circumstances, but Mitch will hold on just with Tim Redmond in second place, and looks like Burko will come home solid third place in the end, just ahead of Mishra, with NZ Snipes coming home in fifth place. Solid recovery on the hard tyres for Stancliffe to come home in P6. Daniel Cox holds on for seventh, just ahead of Turmo. And now we wait for Higginson, who's made his way just ahead of Justin Cecil. Justin finishing ahead of Matt in this one. Matt was running fairly high up early on the race, guys, so he must have had an off or two at some point in the race that we didn't see. And Freakish, I believe, getting his best result in 12th place there in the LGBTQ++, who gives us stuff. Holden. And then we have Brad there in 13th. Mike Cook home in 14th. Darren Kemp in 15th. Lockenberg in 16th, followed by Peter Thrower in 17th. He hasn't had an ideal round here, with Lachlan Lock home in 18th. Hans's teammate doing some nice little handbrakies there, finishing 19th. Mosh in 20th.
Trying to do a burnout, and he's just taken out two cars in the front. Oh my god.
Who was that?
Rap. So he just stood up on the apron just turned 5 and 6, and then he's all of a sudden turned left, and he's gone into, I think, Turmo and another car. So that was very interesting.
Turmo and Hugo there.
Good old Rap. Tends to have a big dip.
Well, they shouldn't have been standing there, to be fair.
They just needed to get good, and Brap is good. So there we go. Anyway, I'm bummed that I couldn't race at Barbagallo tonight, because I do like Barbagallo. It does suit my style a little bit. So onwards and upwards to Winton, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, upwards, if you could call it that, Luke. I know it's your favourite track.
Yeah, one of my favourite tracks of the Supercars calendar.
I think your two favourite tracks, I'm not sure in what particular order, Winton and Eastern Creek. Is that right?
Yeah, that is right. Yeah, brilliant circuits. I wish that I wish F1 went there.
Yeah, and just for everyone playing at home, no, I don't think Luke Rosella is going to pay a membership fee to join Benalla Auto Club. I don't think he's interested, and I certainly don't think he's interested in meeting the CEO of the Winton circuit, the Benalla Auto Club, Jeff Gretsch. And there seems to be an iRacing figure who likes to name drop Jeff Gretsch at every opportunity, and those who know iRacing will certainly know who I'm talking about.
That's right. But we're talking about Winton. How do you reckon you're going to fare next round, Hans?
Terrible. I will be on my lid at some point in the night. I'm not keen. I haven't done that many laps in a V8 around Winton, and even fewer in Winton at all. So it's just like, what am I supposed to do? I just rock up, come home from work, just want to have a good time, but watch me bloody fall off the road at turn 1. If I don't fall off the road at turn 1, then that's a win for me.
Well, Hans will be off his rocket certainly. Well, Lewis, we got the podium getters in the booth.
We certainly do, and he hasn't done too much work here in the commentary box tonight, so Rossi, why don't you go and ask some of our podium and race winners some really in-depth and important questions.
Some in-depth and important questions. Righto. Mitch, are you ready for some in-depth and important questions?
Oh boy, I can't wait.
Mate. race 1 didn't end fairly for you. You had that little bit of an issue towards the end where you slipped from 2nd to 9th. Is there anything you'd like to explain there, or how you saw that happening?
I spun.
Oh, very in-depth.
And interesting.
Interesting. But as a whole, how did you see race 1 go for you? You were pretty much toe for toe with Tim Redmond for majority of that race, and then going into the second race, how did you see that play out from your side of things?
Yeah, it was good fun. Me and Tim had a pretty good battle throughout pretty much the whole of first race. Race 2, just tried to keep consistent. Got held up a bit by traffic, but still made it to the finish, so it was alright.
And then heading into the Winton round coming up in probably the next 20 or so minutes, is there anything you're looking to do different there, or is there anything of note that you're going to have to change that you haven't done so far in this season already?
Might play around a bit with strategy, try and get clear air maybe. Also, probably not try to start mid-pack, as that first chicane will probably see some quite large issues. So, yeah, that's about it.
No, well, thanks for your in-depth and interesting analysis there, Lime. But best of luck heading into the next round.
Thank you, and thank you for your interesting and in-depth questions.
Thanks, mate. I'd like to head on to championship leader Tim Redmond. You've got a first and a second under your name already tonight. Like previous rounds, is there anything you can't do? But you seem to be pulling away from the field at this moment. But how did you see just the last 2 races play out for yourself?
The first race with Lime was extremely enjoyable from a driver's point of view, and I'm sure it was probably enjoyable from a watcher's point of view on the broadcast. And it was just a toe-to-toe battle from start to finish. We were jostling for position, jostling for track position. It was just a good all-round race. So really, really quite stoked with obviously the outcome, and I feel a little bit bad for Lime, who fortunately went a little bit sideways on the final corner, because otherwise it would have been a very nice result. And race 2 for me, extremely pleased with the outcome of that one, obviously, as well. I finished second for that race. Did have obviously some traffic sort of early in the race to contend with. But once I got through the traffic, it was just a case of trying to hunt Lime down, and I think he said that he got caught up in some traffic as well. So we evened out over the course of the race, and I think maybe one more lap I might have got him.
Well, it's going to be my next question, because you did pit a lap later, and I was going to say if you were going to pass him probably with 1 lap extra, you may have got him there. But heading into Winton, same as Lime, is there anything you might do different, or anything you just want to achieve race result wise to consolidate your championship lead?
Honestly, I'm just looking for really good results, and I'm not too fussed if I get the win or not. Obviously excited if I do, but I'm here to play the long game. So look out for me, hopefully towards the front end of the field most of the season.
No, well, thanks for your in-depth analysis there too, Tim. But that might do me for my in-depth analysis there, Lewis, if you want to continue on.
Well, I have a co-commentator in here, so Luke, if you are around, we are muted at the moment, so please unmute yourself, mate. But might as well cut to, I do believe... No, he's back. Luke, why don't you interview our remaining podium getters in this one? And I do believe Mishra and, of course, NZ Snipes picking up podiums in race 1 there.
I'll start with Waldrick Mishra. Waldrick, pretty solid couple races for you. Just talk us through that first race there, mate.
Yeah, I mean, the first race was, I think my second race was better than my first, actually. But in the first one, I started well, got out of traffic, and just kept it right behind Snipes. But unfortunately, I tried the undercut, didn't really work out. So just focused on trying to keep Termo behind. And in the last lap, when Mitch went around, I just got a free podium out of that. But I think I drove well enough in the second race to make up for it. And it was the first couple of rounds went quite badly for me, with like mistakes from my side and just getting involved in incidents and stuff. So to get good points on the board in both races and get a podium in one of them it was great fun.
Yeah, good stuff. And how was? We saw you in the last few laps of that second race, battling with Steve Burko there for the podium. How was that?
Yeah, it was great fun. I was trying to get Brap to play the team game with me and try to hold up Burko, but he was just a bit too quick. We both went wide on the last lap, but yeah, we were both pushing really hard, and I think I got the best result I could from that race.
Good job, Audrey Mishra, with podiums in this round. And finally, NZ Snipes. Well, again, solid round for you. Just talk us through those couple races tonight.
That was bloody great fun. I think race 1, I qualified reasonably well. Turmo put in a mega lap, so that was really cool to see him right up there beside me. But I just really wanted to focus on getting a good jump, and I did get a pretty good jump. I got in front of him, and from there it was just. I'm pretty realistic at the fact that Lime and Tim are probably going to drive away from me, so it was just try to drive to my own pace and stay in front of the people behind me. Orjit challenged me for quite a bit in that first race. And the second race, him and I had a mega lap 1 battle there. That was really, really good fun. And congrats again, Orjit, for your podiums. But no, it's just trying to be consistent, trying to work with what I've done in practice, know what works, and cutting through the field was fun after pitting a race 1. That was good fun. But I'm pretty thrilled with the second day. I was pretty resigned to third, and I came around the corner and Lime's just facing me. It was very, very hard to not loop it right then, but we got it straight on the gas and over the line, and I was shouting. It was great fun.
Nah, good stuff, Snipes. And well, I do believe that's it, Lewis. Don't think there's any more.
Yes. Yeah, I do believe that is it. We will have probably about a 15 or so minute break between, obviously, this broadcast and the next from Winton. The practice session is underway. Drivers that are in here probably should be getting into the practice server, but from myself, Luke Roseller, Hans Brunswick with his little cameo, and of course Brandon Ross, we will be back, minus Hans, who will be on the circuit. Go Hans. So yeah, catch us in 15 minutes time for round number 5 from Winton Motor Raceway or Speedway or garbage fire. All right.
Goat track.
Goat track.